What's up, YouTube? It's MightyFan here, coming at you with another vid, and this time it's in reply to ThrowBacKing's Fab 5 challenge, which he issued a bit back. Finally getting around to doing a reply for it, but a very interesting challenge. So the challenge was basically to pick your favorite jersey, hat, jacket, sneakers, and collectible within your collection. Now, that's obviously a very difficult, thing to kind of think of, trying to figure what your favorite item in each category would be. Now, some people might have a lot more of certain items in those particular categories than others. I myself certainly have more in the realm of jersey, hat, and even collectibles. For that, I'm not a big sneakerhead, don't have a lot, but the choice for me was pretty easy for that. And also jackets. I have a decent amount of jackets, not a huge collection, but I have enough, it was easy to pick that one too. And really for the jersey, believe it or not, it was pretty easy too, because you would think someone with as many jerseys as I own, it would be a very difficult decision, but this one was pretty simple. The hat, I thought of for a bit, but I came down to this one for a specific reason. And without further ado, let's get right into it, right? So we're going to start with, We're going to start with the collectibles first. We're going to start with the collectible first. Now, I have a lot of collectibles within the collection for sports, Philly sports stuff all over the place, as you can see on the walls here behind me. Of course, that beautiful painting that was gifted to me by Snacks, the AI Slam cover magazine. Of course, I'm wearing an Iverson, of course, and little support there for Snacks. Of course, that's his favorite guy, right? One of my favorite guys too, AI, of course. And thank you again to Snacks for that wonderful. Thank you again for that wonderful artwork, and we'll always be up proudly here in the Mighty Kingdom. And also, really, I guess kind of before I really started collecting, the jerseys and hats, it was Mighty Mouse. Now, obviously, my YouTube name is MightyFan's78. Mighty Mouse fan. He's my favorite superhero, favorite cartoon character. Still waiting on that movie, but eventually, it's like they're like going through every single superhero known to man and every single cartoon character. Oh yeah, remember him? Let's do a movie for him. Maybe someday, right? But Mighty's actually been around for over 60 years, maybe closing in on the 70 mark. I believe this year might be number 70 for him, but originated in 1942 as Super Mouse, and name changed over in 1944, but he got his current look that we all know, the yellow and red, in 1945. So with that being said, now I say that as a setup, right? This is a setup. So I collected Mighty Mouse for over 15 years. Various items, toys, comic books, figures, clothing, original artwork from the cartoons and comic books. I got to know people who were, putting these things together. I knew a writer of a comic series, a late Marvel comic series. I got to correspond with Ralph Bakshi, who was the man responsible for the series that I grew up on with Mighty Mouse in the late 80s, The New Adventures of Mighty Mouse on CBS, back when they used to have cartoons on Saturday mornings. That was my favorite series. It was actually a series way ahead of its time. You look at cartoons today, SpongeBob, all those things, they just make fun of everything. The Simpsons, stuff like that. That series was one of the first to do it, and it was ahead of its time. It only lasted about a couple years, but the people kind of responsible for that went on to put together some other animation and cartoons, such as Ren and Stimpy back in the MTV days, that became real popular too. So Mighty was my favorite growing up. Still am a fan. Like I said, I would love to have a movie made someday for him, but we'll get to that eventually. You never know. They're running out of heroes to, they're like, you have to get to him eventually. He's like, oh yeah. Was actually, there was one in the works for Nickelodeon some years ago, a CGI movie, and that kind of fell through, but you know, it is what it is. But all that being said, yes, I collected him. I was on a collector's show way back when on HGTV, Ultimate Collectors, many years ago for the Mighty Mouse collection. It was a very massive collection. Probably all told, you know, anywhere in the ballpark of 400 to 500-ish items, all told, including comic books, probably over 6, closing in on 700 items. It was very expansive, and as we know, with me as a collector, I do tend to grow the collections. So it was a labor of love for many years, and then I got more into the, you know, collecting of jerseys, because sports has always been a big love of mine as well. So kind of morphed into that, and then the Mitchell and Ness store, and you know, it all kind of, and the rest is history on that. But Mighty is still a character that, you know, I'm a fan of. It's been a minute since I got a Mighty Mouse item, but this item that I'm going to show for the collectible portion of this reply to the challenge is a very special piece in the collection. It's a very rare gem. As I mentioned before, he was created in 1942. Now, he's a Terry Toon. You know, he was done by Paul Terry's Terry Toon, you know, cartoon company way back in the day. He's not Disney, you know, he's not Warner Brothers, he's nothing like that. He's a Terry Toon. He's actually owned by Viacom. Today, his rights is Viacom owned. Who knows, maybe someday Disney or one of those other character, you know, big companies, you know, get him. But as of now, he is copyrighted for Viacom. But so back in the day, he appeared actually. Now back then, they used to show cartoons in movie theaters, and he first appeared in movie theater. See, so he was in theaters at one point. But this is before television. This is before that thing that we all love to watch today, right? This is before television. So back in the movie theaters, they used to show cartoons. Mighty Mouse first appeared in 1942 in a cartoon titled The Mouse of Tomorrow. Yes, it was a spoof and spin-off Superman and Mickey Mouse. They kind of combined the two because of the popularity of those two characters at the time, and they created Mighty Mouse, or Super Mouse at the time, and then later he became Mighty. He kind of became his own back then. But there was not very many items made for him during this time. You know, there just wasn't. There wasn't a lot of toys. There wasn't a lot of stuff that later, you know, there would certainly become more, you know, he would become more prevalent in the toy world and collectible world and what have you. So realistically, his days as Super Mouse, not a whole lot out there, you know. They actually did another comic book series many years later, Super Mouse, but that was a completely different character, you know. So they kind of recreated that character as its own entity. Mighty Mouse, of course, just stayed Mighty Mouse. But there was one item, and to the best of anyone's knowledge, this may have been the first item, the first collectible, the first toy, the first anything depicting him, other than the cartoons of the time. And it was an old tin car made in Japan, and it is part of the collection. And it is him as Super Mouse, which is very rare because you don't have a lot of items depicting him as such, but there it is. Not only is he on the car, driving the car supposedly, but he's also depicted on the side of the car, you know. So there you go, in the colors of red, white, and blue. Now, he had some yellow in his color as well, but there is the car, and again, this is an old car, very, you know, delicate, so you gotta be careful. Tin car, and if you push it, as you push it, that the head will actually turn left and right. You know, so he's kind of looking around. He's a careful driver, you know. But this car is still part of the collection. You know, goes back to my days of collecting Mighty. It was a very special item I was able to acquire from an ex as an anniversary gift. All right, the relationship didn't last, but I got to keep the car. That's what I always say, right? But it's still a very important piece of my collection for Mighty Mouse, and it was it's one of the centerpieces because, as we said, to the best of the knowledge of collectors or people out there, this was one of the first items made for him, if not the first item, a collectible item, a toy or what have you, with him depicted. And this was made way back in the day. Again, an old tin car from Japan. The Super Mouse car right there. Put it down carefully. I don't have it in a box or anything. I just kind of keep it out on a shelf next to some Mighty Mouse NASCARs that were made from the Jeff Gordon Company many years ago. But I do kind of put the cars together. But it's kind of showing the old and new. The cars have changed, and so did he over the years. But that's the collectible. That's kind of the story behind the collectible. Yeah, so when Snacks, obviously Throwback King mentioned about show your best, your favorite collectible in the collection. I mean, that one just right away. I'm like, yeah, that's got to be the one. All right. Next off, we will go with the hats. Now, the hat, I had to do a lot of thinking because, as we know, I have a lot of hats. Yes, and there has been an overabundance of hats being created these days in various different colorways and UVs and all sorts of stuff, right? I mean, the hat I'm wearing right now is a somewhat new, addition to the collection within the past few months from the Mitchell & Ness flagship. I know Snacks got it too, representing the hat the AI wore when he was drafted as a Sixer way back when. So I had to do some thinking, and I really did. It came down to a couple. This one, though, I think got the vote ultimately because it does depict another character that I'm a fan of. And also this hat was is an example of perseverance as a collector. I wasn't able to get it when it first dropped. It was actually a shock drop by Hat Club. I wasn't able to get it. I didn't know about it until after it already came out, and by then it was gone. And I looked endlessly for this thing because I really wanted it. It did depict a character that I'm a fan of, from a series that I'm a fan of, a movie series that I'm a fan of. And it just became an absolute quest for me to find this hat. And it took about however long it took. I forget the exact number of months that it took for me, almost a year, I want to say, to find it. And I exhausted every measure I could. I every day searching all these different, secondary markets like an eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, OfferUp, eBay Marketplace. I mean, I looked everywhere for this thing, and I kept looking and looking and looking and looking and trying different searches on eBay, doing different keywords. Again, this kind of takes you back to the roots of collecting. These are the type of things that you got to do sometimes, right? Just to find that gem. And it's not to say you're always going to be successful depending on what it is. But this, because it was still relatively something that had come out not that long ago, I just kept search every day, multiple times a day. And then finally I was able to find it. Now it's a fitted hat. So the other aspect of this is not only did I have to find it, but I had to find it in my size, so I can wear it. I got to wear the hats I get, right? Now this being a snapback, you don't have that same problem with these, right? It's a snap, you can wear it. You just adjust the snaps. Well, fitteds are a little different because you do have to kind of find your size or one of the sizes that you can wear. And so that was the other part of this. So I got real lucky. So I found it on eBay. Not only found it, I found it in my size. On the first one that I saw came along after months of searching. Not only was it there, it was in my size, so it all worked out perfect. And I am, speaking of the Hat Club Shock Drop, Billy the Puppet, saw a hat that they created some years ago, and so happy to have it. This one, I had no idea it was coming out. There were people who did. I wasn't one of them, and missed out on it when it first dropped. And because it was a shock drop and it was Hat Club, it's a popular, company putting it out. And then the shock drops are just, they're there and they're gone, right? So you have a very small window to get them. And I did not get it, obviously, when it first hit. But again, I looked for this sucker like crazy every day, just exhausting measures to try to find it. And finally I did. So that's why I put this hat up here as my favorite in the collection, just because of all the work that kind of went into trying to get it and being successful in doing so. And it is a lesson in just, you never stop looking. And you do everything you can as a collector to find something that you really want to try to get. And like I said, this was a success story. There has been times, Billy White Shoes, Oilers, powder love you blue jersey, where it hasn't worked out so far. But you just got to keep looking. So that's why this hat is the favorite in my collection. And it does represent a character that I'm a fan of in a movie series that I'm a fan of. So there's the Saw puppet, the red under right there, fitted. His New Era flag. I know the lighting, you can't really see it maybe, but it's kind of right in there. And the red squatchy on top, and there he is. I want to play a game. So there you go. The Hat Club Shock Drop Billy. had to be the number one hat for me. Let me put it over here. All right. Up next we're gonna go to the kicks, right? We're gonna go to the sneakers. Now again, I'm not a sneakerhead, and I will always say that. Much love to all the sneakerheads in our group. I mean, I listen, I see the prices for some of these shoes. I know the painstaking measures that some will go through for them. For me, it was kind of an easy answer because it does represent two things that I'm a fan of. This one sneaker represents two things that I'm a fan of. And let's get right into it. I did get it secondhand. I believe it was off of a Poshmark, if I'm not mistaken. And so I got these. I did look around for them, and I kind of hunted for them a little too late. And at least in my area and online, on Foot Locker, they were all gone in my size. So I knew I had to get it off a secondary market, and I got real lucky. I found them, and I actually got them below retail. So it worked out pretty good for me. And I do, make mention of, let's get out of the box. It's in the box. We got the Question Lows in the old Phillies colorway. Love these. Love these. I still have to wear them to a game, which I still plan on doing. This is just such a beautiful shoe. And again, I'm not, a sneaker guy. I'm not big in that. I have a few pairs. I do have like the re-up of the original Questions in my collection, and I thought about those. But this one I had to go with because not only is it an Iverson shoe, but it also represents my Phillies and my favorite Phillies colorway, the old school powder blue and maroon and white. This is just a beautiful sneaker right here. You got the 3 on the back. Now you go with AI for that, of course, but you can also go for Harper. So I'll probably wear this with my powder blue Harper jersey. And I think it will go pretty good. Of course, Harper won the MVP last year. AI was an MVP back in 2001. So it's kind of a combo wombo for both MVPs, right? Beautiful, beautiful shoe right here. Everything just works with it. There's a couple other pair of Questions that I would like. I know the Tunnels, in the Eagles colorway, the current Eagles colorway, and then I think there's also a pair of the Lows in the old Kelly Green, Eagle colorway, and those both have to happen. But even after I get those, I still think that this one will be my favorite because I just that old school Phillies. That's always in my feels, man. I love those old school Philly stuff, as some of you might know, seeing my collection. So that's going to be the sneaker. Let's get to the jacket. All right, so I show you the collectible, the hat, and the sneaker. The jacket was easy for me. Like I said, I don't have a ton of jackets. I got enough of them, and I have one for each of the Philly teams, and I got some of the shoot-arounds that Mitchell Ness has done, and some older, stuff from back in the day. But this one definitely takes the top for me for my collection, and it's the starter Eagles jacket that came out some years ago. I got this jacket just before this at Modell's Sporting Goods at King of Prussia Mall, just before the start of the season when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. So this jacket will always have a very special part in my heart and my collection. I also got this jacket because when I was much younger, I had an Eagles jacket, a Kelly Green Eagles jacket with the helmet on the front of it. And on the back, it did say Philadelphia Eagles, so there's a little difference with this one. But the jacket reminded me so much of my old Eagles jacket. That's what drew me to it. And believe me, every time I wear this, I get the compliments every time. Love that jacket, right? Everyone loves, us in Eagle Nation, we all are, go Birds, right? We all love the Kelly Greens. So glad to see them, going to be wearing them again, next season. And those are the jerseys I grew up with, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. So us here in, in Philly, and even fans not in Philly, love the Kelly Green. So anytime you wear anything with the Kelly Green, it definitely will get attention and get compliments, right? And this jacket is just so awesome. It's just, it really is. You got the Eagles helmet on the front. The back, you have the big, bold Eagle logo, And like I said, so that's the difference between this jacket and the one I used to have, because when I was younger, the one I used to have had Philadelphia Eagles written on the back. This one has the logo, and I like it with the logo. And that logo is just so big and bold. Gets a lot of attention, draws a lot of compliments, a lot of eyes to it. And the stripes on the sleeves, too. This isn't an original starter jacket from back in the 90s or whatever. This is one that they kind of recreated some years ago, but just a beautiful job. I think Starter still makes some of the best jackets out there. I have a few of them, in the collection. So, stripes on both sleeves. You got the gray cuffs. It's been worn quite a few times, and it still looks, crisp. Very, very nice jacket. It's got the, the gray, also the silver, I should say, around the neck area. So yeah, this is my number one because it's such an awesome looking jacket. It also reminds me of the jacket I had when I was younger, and also when I got it, which is the just before it was. I remember it was the week leading into the week 1 game where the Eagles played at Washington that season, and I picked it up at Modell's. I want to say like the week leading into that game, or maybe even the Sunday before or whatever it was. And of course that year was just a magical run for the Eagles. I was like called this the good luck jacket because I would wear it and they would win. So this jacket certainly brought the luck that season, that's for sure. So you never forget when I'll never forget when I got this jacket. Obviously, because it was leading up to the season when they won it all, right? Can never forget that. And speaking of that season, and speaking of that moment, the jersey that I picked as my number one. Listen, I mean, it was easy for me. As many jerseys as I have in the collection, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of jerseys, all different sports and styles and companies, all different stuff, custom stuff, just the list goes on and on and on. This one was number one for me because this represented that moment. I wore this jersey when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, which of course was the moment I waited for my whole life. I wore this jersey to the parade, some days later in Philly. Just wonderful memories and moments in this thing. I got it the week before the Super Bowl. That's when it came out. Again, at that same Modell. See, that's kind of cool, right? Got the jacket at the Modell's, and then sometime later I got this at that same exact Modell's, which is now closed, of course, at KOP. But it is the replica Nike Fletcher Cox Super Bowl 52 jersey that you can see me wearing still on this channel, back in my reaction to the Eagles winning Super Bowl 52 on the couch over there wearing this. This jersey will always have that memory to me. It will always represent that night that we won, and the fond memories that came of that night, and then what followed at that parade, which was amazing. Amazing. You wait for it, and that's that moment that you can always say, no matter what, going forward, I could say, well, I saw them win it, and this will always have that special place for me, for that very reason. So we got the Super Bowl 52 logo on there, pressed onto it. It is a replica, so nothing stitched. They don't make authentic jerseys with the Super Bowl patch. You would have to do that custom. But this jersey, like I said, was purchased the week before Super Bowl 52. And it's that memory, man. It will never go away. And this jersey will always be very special to me for that reason. And it will always represent that night. It will always represent the parade to me. So, you know, just special, special moments in it. And that's why this jersey will always be number one. It's a replica jersey. I mean, there's nothing, it's not rare. It's nothing that you're going to go, oh my God, you know. But it's that special thing to me, you know, and that moment for me will always be, you know, a very special thing. As an Eagles fan, you know, you have to go through a lot to get there. So, you know, getting that night and winning Super Bowl 52 was such a special thing. No matter how many they might win in my lifetime, and I hope I see more, it will never top the first one. You know, that night, so special. And, I mean, obviously against an incredible dynasty like the Patriots, too, back then. So, yeah, always will have those special moments. That jersey will always be number one no matter what. No matter how rare a jersey I might get afterwards. I mean, I can get the most obscure, rare Eagles jersey or any other jersey in the collection. But this one will always be number one for that reason. And again, if you want to search all the way back, I know it's kind of far down in the videos now, but my reaction to winning Super Bowl 52 is one of the proud videos I have on my channel. So, but anyhow, thank you to Snacks, of course, Throwback King, for this challenge. I know this is something we used to do in our YouTube Jersey Head community, like many times, way back in the day. It was always fun then, and it still is. And thank you for the challenge, and I hope this is satisfactory for you as a reply. And I welcome any of the other Jersey Heads, you know, to follow through and make your reply to this Fab 5 challenge, right? So again, shout out to Throwback King. Shout out to all of you for watching this. Hope you all enjoyed. Maybe you learned a little about Mighty Fan with this too. I don't know, but a little hodgepodge of things to share. And again, that's the cool thing about a challenge like this, is you can kind of delve into stories and deep dive into aspects of your life with it. So very cool. I'm going to put the original, the Throwback King's Fab 5 challenge vid in the description here, so you can make sure, if you haven't done so already, make sure you give it a watch, and you can see what he showed as his top 5 in his collection for each category. I think we had some other guys do it too, so make sure to, you know, see what everyone else has to offer too, and that's going to do it for me. All right, everyone, thanks for watching as always, and what you got to do, leave a like, right? Leave a like to this vid. Show support to the channel. Subscribe if you already haven't done so, and make sure to hit the bell icon so you get alerted to future content from yours truly, and do so for all the Kings as well. Always good. It's always appreciated. All right, everyone, take care.